Welcome, friends, to the Pioneers of the Independent Networks. I'm your host, Ricky Blues. This is your co-host, Lord Timothy Walker.
Back again.
I see the crown above his head. And joining us for the second part of the week.
I see the crown.
This crown. This is a little bit different crown.
Ah, yes.
Oh, but it's still there. Good crown.
Yeah.
And joining us again for part 2 this week, RK Blues. RK, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've joined us in the past, you know that we bring you all the characters, the matches, the feuds, the organizations that populated the Mid-Atlantic independent wrestling scene for the last, I don't know, Tim, 30, 40, 50 years, for a long time. So strap in, join us. Here we go, part 2, Family Feud. All right, guys, follow me on this. Okay, this is a long and winding road to get to a short point.
I come to expect this.
I want to take you guys back to around 2009 and 10, okay? I'll set the scene work for you. MCW is really running well, okay? And at that time, MCW had partnered with Gilbert. Gilbert was the feeder school for Maryland Championship Wrestling. So I was working for Dwayne as talent coordinator. Myself and Bob Starr were the talent coordinators for Dwayne, then working through for Danny on the shows for MCW. They had us setting up the matches, everything the talent coordinator would do for them. So I brought RK along with me. And Danny took a look at him and said, you want to get him some matches? And I said, Dan, we got some work to do before we go anywhere with this, but I'd love to eventually get there. So he opened the door. We also had Jimmy Cicero, great friend of ours. Jimmy was the third head in the talent coordinators. Jimmy was also putting together all the Rage TV stuff for Dan for MCW through Gilbert. So you start to remember that now. One of the things that we had to do was get RK some experience in front of people. Okay? So they were drawing 75, 100 people into their little TV tapings for Rage TV, and they were doing it week after week after week. So for about 6 months, they were running him through a gambit. As, you know, this is Ricky Blues' son. He's, you know, developing, and you came in with that whole I'm the good guy mantra. And we started to develop a storyline. And Jimmy, Cicero, myself, and Bob Starr sat down and said, how are we going to progress with this? What do we want to do with this? And Jimmy come up with the idea of, why don't we keep working him? He's got talent. We're going to push him, but not as a good guy. We're going to do it as a heel. But we want to get him that experience first. So we're going to continue to get him the job, to get him experience, put him with as many people as we could.
I remember the trips that we used to take down to Maryland and all that, and we had talked about it, because originally the plan was, well, I was going to turn on you, and then we had talked about, well, how often do you see a father turn on a son and say, you know what, you're the loser, you're the reason we're doing this and all those guys like that stuff.
Things are about to pick up here. It's a family affair here in MCW.
Last time out here, your kid makes his major league debut. The first ever second-generation professional wrestler in the state of Maryland, and you weren't here for him. Once again, Ricky Blues is a negligent father. But it was okay. Everybody was here so he could take care of Junior. That's why I took care of him real good.
And Agent Orange making some pretty strong accusations against Ricky Blues for not being here for his son's debut match in MCW last month when he took on Agent Orange.
I'm sure Ricky Blues had a very good reason why he couldn't be here. Agent Orange needs to pay attention to himself.
If you remember, this all got started back at the Legends show in MCW back in November when Agent Orange and Ricky Blues revisited that old rivalry one more time, and it hasn't stopped since.
Ride, let it ride. We gonna ride till we die. Wow. Come on, I said, hop up the jungle in a green
Jr. winning big.
Oh, wait a minute. Ricky Blues turning on his son. What in the hell?
Oh my God, what is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea what's going on here.
You know what? I told you I was done with this business, and you just kept pulling me back in. How does it feel?
Look at these old boots. I love these old boots. I'll tell you what, though. There's one thing. When you look at these boots, look at how well worn they are. Right around the tips there. Back in there. That's how you tell a veteran. When you ask somebody, how many matches have you had? You can tell they're telling the truth. They say, I've had 500 matches, because look at their boots. Their boots show. That's the tail of the tape right there. But since we're talking about boots, Will, and you walking in your father's boots, how did you establish your own personality apart from your dad?
Big thing that really helped is then once we could, I was working him. So you can't be the same person as the guy that you're working. And it was kind of like, because I'm more like stay to myself, so I really had a hard time developing a little bit more of a personality with it.
We've seen other fans, but have you ever seen a father and son go at it in the squared circle?
You know, there's a special bond between a father and a son. And when that bond is broken, sometimes it cannot be put back together. And it looks to me like that bond is not just broken, but it's burning in hell.
Look at this,
with all the sinners.
Ricky Blues Jr. going to get a sneak attack on his dad. He's up on the top rope. See if he gets his attention here.
Mr. Blues, you better turn around.
Oh, and look at that.
Cross body.
Just like that, the match starts. Ricky Blues Jr. with a lot to prove here.
Oh.
Not taking anything away from his father and his father's career. But it looks like the new blood in the family wants to take over. And maybe, just maybe, Ricky Blues Sr. is just a little bit jealous of his son's youth and charisma. And maybe
Honoring his father right now.
I don't know, but I think there might be an exception when your own father beats the garbage out of you in front of a
discipline.
packed room.
Discipline.
Well, then we will agree to disagree on that one. Ricky Blues Jr. taking control of his father here. Oh, and the gut kick.
You're disciplining his son, I'll tell you. The only way it would get better is if he puts him over his knee and spank him.
I don't think the fans want to see that. Ricky Blues Jr. up on top.
Rack position. Beautiful swinging neck breaker there from the torture rack position by Ricky Blues Sr. This may be it.
Ricky Blues Jr., the youngster, the newcomer. He's got his hands full right now with his own father. Here comes the pin.
Now you see.
It's a near fall.
Now you see, no, not a near fall. He picked him up by the head because he wasn't done disciplining his son. He wants to make sure that he understands what he did. This is more than a grounding, more than not being able to watch television. This is physical discipline.
Doc, do you have kids of your own?
I do not, thank God. And it's people like, kids like Ricky Blues Jr. that make me realize why I don't want them.
Oh, and here's a painful submission move here. Ricky Blues Jr. does not want to give up.
He may not have a choice because his father is not showing any mercy, nor should he.
The reason I ask if you have kids, because there is a line between discipline and abuse, and this is borderline abuse, Doc.
How can you say that? This is a sanctioned match by the Maryland Athletic Commission. This is a match that Ricky Blues Jr. willingly took. This is not abuse when two men are in the ring. It doesn't matter if it's a father and a son, a mother and a daughter. This is a professional wrestling match. This is someone showing him how it's done.
Ricky Blues. Oh, the reverse there, Ricky Blues Jr. His father doesn't seem to know where he's at. Looks like he's on Dream Street. Measures.
Senior rep D. Edwards making the count. Over the top goes Ricky Blues Jr.
And right there shows the youth, the agility, the athleticism of the younger of the two. The younger Blues seems to be showing here that he might have an advantage.
It's a different style. Ricky Blues Jr. coming in now to the ring. Picking his father up by his hair. He should know better.
Here comes a reversal. And another reversal. And Ricky Blues Jr. comes right back at his dad.
How can you do that to your own father? Monkey flip to the other side of the ring. Coast to coast goes Ricky Blues Sr.
I gotta tell you, Doc, this match seems to be pretty even up until this point, going back and forth.
What a showing of strength by juniors. I don't like it, but I got it!
The 3 count. Ricky Blues Jr. with the win on his father.
And actually, what I had preferred to do is I preferred working heel later. I found that more fitting and more able to make me talk and speak than what Dad would have done as Ricky Blues. And the problem is so being a heel, I can get away with doing less too, and I don't have to be compared to him because he's a good guy.
Right.
So I don't have to be compared. You know, it can be. I can't believe that. That's his son, and this is how he's going to take this. So I'm able to get a little bit of heat and some rub off of that alone. Whereas Ricky Blues does all the things that a face can do. He's doing all the flying and everything else and all that, and a heel doesn't do that. That's what a face can take care of and do.
I found it real interesting. One of the cards that you were on, and you were working as a heel, and you had cheated to win your match. And then the announcer asked your dad, who was there at ringside, what his opinion was of you cheating. And I thought that was brilliant. And I know it put your dad on the spot, but he came up with a really great answer. And it really set apart your personality. You were here, and your dad was here. And it was a very heartfelt answer, too, because he's like, he's my son, and of course I care about him, but I don't care for is the way that he wrestles. So I thought it drew like a dichotomy, and you could feel the tension between you two, and at the same time, you could tell the difference in the personalities as well.
We used the Rage TV to do the build-up for where we wanted to go. And the next year comes around, the second Legends show. That's the year that they inducted the Cream Team, Dave and Rip. And they had me work with Rip. So 2009 was with Agent Orange. 2010 was with Rip Sawyer. And that's the year that Rip goes in. And they're still having us build that storyline now, whereas Will is a disciple, RK is a disciple of mine.
I mean, I was fortunate with that because just from the storyline, I got to work with a lot of guys who had a lot of experience that I wouldn't have gotten to that quick or had a reason to, talk with those guys or work with those guys as fast as it is. Well, we worked with Rip that night and everything. And one of the things we had talked about was, everybody knows about kayfabe or, think they know about kayfabe and stuff now. So Dad said, what we're going to do is we're going to work the boys. He said, don't tell anybody what we're going to do and all that, but I'm going to make it look like I take a bad bump. He said, we'll tell me, you, Rip, and that's it. And there was another, Rip had a partner at the time too. We didn't tell him or anything like that. So here it come. It was time. I think it was just
the backdrop.
It was
back German suplex.
Yeah, suplex. So you took the suplex on your head and your shoulder more, and then laid there. So we didn't tell Dwayne, and Dwayne was commentating. And so you can hear Dwayne say, oh, God, he's hurt. We're going to have to get an ambulance. Right? And so I'm over. We break it. Rip comes over to me. He says something to me and all. And I turn. I'm shaking my head. And then I grabbed your Bible. I come over and I hit Rip with it. Put my hand on you. Said, he is healed. You sat up like the Undertaker. And Dwayne's like, I'm going to kill him. Because the whole beauty of it was that everybody, even the boys that had been in it for a long time now, thought that it was real again.
Right. And that's what you wanted to do. It's what we were trying to do. Give a little bit something different. Understand that old school still works. It's all about the sell. Can you sell it to put it over? And we're going to run that video for you because it went from a people that were up for Rip because he was getting ready to go over. All of a sudden, the whole house becomes a hush because they think he just killed him with that move and he's not moving. And then to pull the rug out from under him is what you're supposed to do. That's what builds the credibility in that business, is jerking that rug out from under the people. That's what they pay for, that rocket ride, that roller coaster. And we showed them you can still do it. Commit to your professionalism. You can still do those things.
And it was done with a suplex. It wasn't done with any kind of crazy high-flying move
Right.
or any kind of anything like it. It was a suplex.
Again, cheating.
Uh-oh. Do I see it? Boom! Oh!
Dropped him right on his head.
Well, I think he killed him. Get somebody out of here. I think somebody's got to get out here now. Oh! It was a ploy. It looks like it was a ploy. Oh! What, have they been over your house?
Like I said, Ricky Blues is one of the most intelligent wrestlers I have ever seen.
That's just wrong.
Unlike you.
Oh, he's been healed.
Back then, what was your feelings of it back then?
Everybody was always really cool from the first time I met Dwayne. Dwayne was really cool, but I come in, Dwayne had already known you. And so I was already liked by Dwayne, and then all of the guys that were like part of Dwayne's group and everything. Did very little talking with Dan, but that was Dan's business. Dan was the promoter, I was the worker. You know, whatever angle you guys were working on, I'm game for whatever. Jimmy was really cool. I think Jimmy had his son at the time, too, that he was trying to work in a different way, too, or bringing in to train and stuff like that and all, too. So Jimmy was really cool.
So we go through this, and this really turns out really, really well for us. And then we decided the turn isn't over now. Now we're going to do the big turn, taking the face to get him into his heel role. And it's something that they started on the Rage TV, pushing the Rage TV with Doc, his group. Mm-hmm. And that was what was the Inner Circle at that time, right? And that's long before the
Winner Circle.
The Winner Circle, that's it, the Winner Circle. And they started to do that where you were being scouted away from me to join this other group of these up-and-coming people who were under Doc's, the Devious Doctor's influence.
I don't know, I just don't get it. This goes against everything I've learned about this business. This goes against everything my father's ever taught me about this business.
Everything you've been taught, everything you know, I'm giving you an opportunity here. You can sit there and do exactly what you're doing. Nothing. Or you can take my hand and I can show you a different way. A better way. But this is the only opportunity I'm giving you.
And it was really turned out nice because it wound up pitting you being absorbed into the Winner Circle and pitting the Winner Circle against Ricky Blues, Bob Starr, and the Cat Burglar at one of the MCW events. And it was a very, very nice build. It was a continuous build. It was a hot build. And you could tell that the fans were into that hot build when you and I opened the match. We did some traditional back and forth. There were some neat little things that went on. And then we came face to face and they popped.
that Ricky Blues might have a trick or two up his sleeve that he's not shown his son, just in case this situation ever arose, and indeed, unfortunately, it has here in MCW.
Well, we're going to see that in a timely fashion. And hold on a second. Ricky Blues is kind of mocking the youngster. And the Blue Haze making some rookie mistakes as he's letting the fans at ringside get to him, and that's how mistakes start mounting. And it looks like father and son gonna go slap for slap, kick for kick. Well, for one thing that they're not working on at Dr. Anthony Daniels' compound, it's certainly not anger management, as RK Blues is starting to show a little bit of frustration, and we're only about a minute, 2 minutes into this matchup.
Well, and that's something that Doc Daniels and Ida Marie, they're going to have to control.
Whoa!
Great escape there.
Wow, and the Hall of Famer can still move, ladies and gentlemen. If you look over at the face of Hollywood Bob Starr, he's kind of impressed
I'm
right
sorry.
now.
I'm half the age of Ricky Blues. I can't even kip up. That man, the Hall of Famer, just kipped up. That's impressive.
I think that's more of a show to the son going, hey, buddy, I still got this. And it looks like the whole ring is full. Referee telling you it's going to have to get something going on here. And the Cat Burglar and Bobby Starr inside the ring, and they scatter.
And I love that. That's one of my favorite moments of when we worked together.
My memories of that match were that you had some young fellows and you had the veterans. And there was that angst between the old school and the new school. And there was that struggle. The older wrestlers were trying to maintain their position and their respect in the totem pole, and the younger fellows were trying to climb that pole.
And if you think about it, that's the era when Alexander James and Vordell Walker and Mitch and Pale Paul White, all those guys were coming up now. I think Paul does, was it the Punk Rock All-Stars tag team, and who's done a lot of traveling with that. All those guys, you could see that was you're right, it was the next page in the journal of what was happening. And I like the way that you put that. That was exactly
And it really worked too, because the young people really had the goods to be able to show off their talent and their skill.
Right.
If they were a bit lacking, it really would have taken away from the story.
RK, do you remember that match?
Oh, yeah. I remember that match. I remember catching an elbow in that match. They made me go, all right, where am I at? And he threw it. All right,
Dad.
Yep. But it was like you had said earlier. It wasn't stiff. It was just snug. And it got really over. It was one of the things you had to stand there for. But we had built a lot of momentum up into that. And I thought it was cool. And I know all the other guys really enjoyed having the chance to work with the older guys and to do that. And to construct a match with the older guys was way different than to do one with the younger guys. Like, what the younger guys had done when I'd got with everybody was, okay, this is what you like to do. This is what I like to do, and we'll go from here. They would almost write spots down and stuff. When you got with the older guys, they didn't do any of that stuff. First time I was working Bruce, I was like, all right, what do you like to do? He's like, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it out there.
You walk and talk. That's exactly the way it was. Yep.
That's invaluable to learn, from somebody how to do that or how to be on the fly and just be able to go like that.
That's what professionals do. The good thing about that card that night is that every veteran on there did what they were supposed to, and they put the younger generation, that next group up, over. And then we stepped out of the picture and let them go on. You went on to do more stuff, to go up into Pennsylvania, to work in Pennsylvania, to go down to Tennessee and do those types of things. We did what we were supposed to do as the veterans. We faded into the annals of yesterday and allowed the new generations to come up. And I think that's important. That's the important journey that we actually help construct. So when I look at that, and I look at that time period, that's what I loved most about it, knowing that, yep, they gave me another run and asked me to do something, and I did what I was supposed to do, and that's to get the next group over for them to take over, and that's what you do as a professional.
And you hear a lot of negative things about, like what Tim was talking. Nobody really, as a work, they didn't want to give up the spot, but you hear that nobody wants to give up their spot and all that. But all the guys that we had worked with then and everything, they weren't like that. They were ready for the next guys to take over, but they weren't going to give you anything.
Right.
It was something, that, hey, I had worked hard for this, I had earned this, and if you're going to take it, you're going to earn it as well. But it was in a good professional working fashion that you were going to get it.
Awesome.
I thought it was a natural progression of things. And actually, I was quite impressed with the... And actually, I was quite impressed. You were standing on your own 2 feet without your dad there to back you up. And I got to see what you were made of. And what you were doing, standing on your own 2 feet, separate from your dad. And I thought you did an outstanding job. When I saw you working in small towns here in Pennsylvania, it was like a role reversal. Instead of being led by other people, you were now leading the people that you were working with.
Right, and it was different because down in Maryland, where I was doing everything and all, they were already established and TV was established. Well, when I went and because I did a tryout up in Pennsylvania as well, you don't want to walk in saying this is what I've done and all that. It's, hey, can I do a tryout and we'll see if you can put me on things. And they were like, well, we're going to do TV. And it was like, well, I have TV experience. So that was good right off the bat. They wanted to see if you could work towards the hard cam or anything like that. And to see kind of if you actually knew what you were talking about and if what you were saying was true or not. So I went from being the inexperienced guy to the guy that had a lot of good experience from the things that I was fortunate to go through in the beginning.
Exactly. And I could tell that. And you could see your confidence growing. Every time I saw you in the ring, I could just see you developing more and more each time. I could see your confidence getting better and better, and your command of what was going on in the ring, that you could actually control what was happening. Whereas before, it was more like you were being controlled. Now you were in charge. And if the match was going to be good, it was going to be on your shoulders. If the match was going to be bad, it was going to be on your shoulders. You didn't have anybody else to take the credit for or to take the blame for it. You were, quote unquote, the veteran in the match, and you were responsible for how things turned out. And I thought you did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to present these last 2 episodes. Again, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's a treasure that I will always thank the guys who made it happen. And it was a dream come true. Will, how did you feel? I mean, with the whole thing, just looking back at it.
It was a lot of fun the whole way through it. Everything was a lot of fun. We had a lot of freedom with the way that we had done things, fortunately, and just had a good time. And like I said, I consider myself fortunate to be able to work with some of those old veteran guys and the guys that were really experienced and the guys that really wanted to help the next guys coming up that really did love the business.
Yeah, and that's important. Tim, final words for these last 2 episodes.
Well, I think it was very interesting to see the feud between father and son. You don't see that very often in today's wrestling at all. Just a few father-son combinations exist today. It used to be fairly common, like
right.
with the Funks and the Rhodes family and several other families as well. But it was definitely a treat to see you two in the ring, and I'm just glad you got to experience that.
It is. It's awesome. It's a feather in our caps, and I think that you and I can look at it, look back on it, and smile, and it's something we get to tell your child, my grandchild, and, inspire maybe that next generation. You just never know. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for joining us. We're hoping that you enjoyed this episode. We want to see your comments on it. I mean, this was a very unique situation, so we'd love to see what comments that you have to make about it. Again, we hope you enjoyed the footage, the stock footage, the archival footage that we've presented. And again, thank you for joining in. We'll see you next week.